In this video, we're going to run through the Sig Sauer functional check on the Sig Sauer Mosquito 22 long rifle pistol. All right, so anytime that you have disassembled and reassembled your firearm for cleaning or any other purpose, you want to run through this procedure to make sure everything is working properly. So the first thing you want to check is to make sure that the gun is unloaded. You have an empty magazine and make sure you have no rounds in the gun. First, we're going to check the recoil spring tension just by cycling the slide. So we're just going to rack the slide to the rear and let go. Make sure it closes rapidly and firmly. Do that a couple of times. All right, next we're going to check the double action of the pistol. So with an empty pistol and an empty magazine, put the empty magazine into the firearm, decock the hammer by bringing the decocker all the way down, and your hammer should be in this position. Now we just want to point the gun in a safe direction, pull the trigger completely, make sure the hammer goes all the way back and then releases forward and then ends up in a spot where you can't move it very far one way or the other. So the gun should end up looking like this with the hammer in this position. All right, now we're going to check the trigger path and trigger interruption. So insert an empty magazine, point the gun in a safe direction and pull the trigger fully to the rear and hold it there. And now with the trigger held to the rear, retract the slide and then release it here and make sure the hammer stays all the way back, which it did, and then release your trigger. All right, now with the hammer still all the way to the rear, we're going to check the single action trigger function. So with an empty magazine in the gun, the hammer all the way in the back position, point the gun in a safe direction and press the trigger fully. Hammer should fall and impact the firing pin. The hammer should reset to the safety notch, which is right here, and it should not be able to be pressed fully forward or pulled fully rearward. Next, we're going to check the decocking lever and hammer safety intercept notch. So we need to remove the magazine. We want to cock the hammer by retracting the slide fully and releasing. All right, the hammer is cocked all the way. Now we want to depress the decocking lever right here to lower the hammer. All right, and we want to verify that the hammer is locked in the safety intercept notch. So by pushing the back of the hammer, you can't push it all the way forward and you can't push it all the way back. Next, we're going to check the slide catch lever right here. So insert an empty magazine, retract the slide fully and release. The slide remains locked to the rear. When we press this lever, the slide should close fully with adequate force, which it does. Depress the decocking lever and remove the magazine. Next, we want to just check the magazine. So we want to make sure the magazine tube and lips and floor plate are all clean and undamaged. Make sure the floor plate is secure. Make sure the follower, or what they call the feeder, which is this piece here, make sure that this slides up and down all the way without binding and with pretty good amount of tension on it. And then finally, put the magazine into the gun, make sure there's no binding, make sure you can't pull the magazine out, and press the magazine release and make sure the magazine comes out quite easily. Just check the external condition of the firearm. Just check to make sure nothing is broken, bent, or looks out of place. Make sure the sights are secure and the grip is secure and nothing is broken. All right, the last test that I like to do on all of my guns after I've had them disassembled for cleaning is what I call the extractor and ejector test. And this is not in the manual, but it is a good idea to test the extraction and ejection of the firearm. It also makes sure that your magazine is feeding properly, especially if you've disassembled the magazine. So all I do is get some A-Zoom dummy rounds. These are 22 long rifle. You want to match the dummy rounds to the firearm. These are just fake aluminum ammunition. No gunpowder. They're completely safe. They're great for testing guns. And what I'll do is I'll load 5 dummy rounds into a magazine. Verify that my firearm is empty of real ammunition. Load my dummy rounds into the firearm. Close the slide. As you can see, we've got a dummy round loaded into the chamber. Now, all I'm going to do now is simulate firing the gun by racking the slide briskly 5 times. As each time I rack the slide, one of the dummy rounds should be extracted and ejected out of the gun. And after the 5th time, the slide should lock back because the magazine will be empty at that point. All right, so it just looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lock back on an empty magazine. Now I've got rounds over here to pick up and it is working perfectly. If you found this video helpful, please hit like below. Please check out the description for all the items we used in the video today. If you need any of those, please subscribe and thank you for watching.